Hey everybody, this video is called Are You Resting? And today we're going to step out of our pass-through study of the book of Deuteronomy. And I know we've been going through Deuteronomy since February, and we'll be wrapping up the study in Deuteronomy this upcoming week if the Lord permits. But today we're going to step out on a topical video for this Saturday, and we're going to talk about something that you might not really think about much in a biblical sense. And as you can tell from the title, we're going to talk about resting. So we're going to look at Mark chapter 6, verse 30 and 31. And there's a couple other verses today that I'll go over. But it's so easy for us to get caught up with the everyday busyness of life. You know, for most of us in America, we work Monday through Friday, 8+ hours a day. And then you got Saturdays where you try to spend time with the family and do things, try to get things done around the house, so on and so forth. And then Sunday you got, church where you're serving, where you're assembling with like believers and everything else. So, it's like every day of life is very busy for us. And so we're going to look at Mark chapter 6, verse 30 through 31. It says here, "Then the apostles gathered to Jesus and told him all things, both what they had done and what they had taught. And he said to them, 'Come aside by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while.' For there were many coming and going, and they did not even have time to eat." And so we're looking here at the apostles carrying out the ministry that they've been called to do. And they're caught up with the busyness of it, where they were neglecting self-care. They weren't feeding themselves and all that. And so the question today is why rest? And, for us to rest, it's beneficial for us in many ways, physically, mentally, emotionally, and I said mentally, but spiritually as well. And so Jesus, he led his apostles to rest when they were very busy carrying out their work. And they did not feed their bodies physically. And when we get caught up in the busyness of life, and if we're skipping meals and everything, and I understand that there's parts of the world, where you don't have the same type of meal system that other nations have. But, if you're in the United States or whatever, you average about 3 meals a day. And, if you're skipping meals, you're skipping nutrition, and then you're going to have health issues. In Psalm 127, verse 1 and 2, I absolutely love these verses right here. It says, King Solomon writing this, "Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he gives his beloved sheep." And so Solomon, he taught how the Lord's hand is on everything that we do, and that's what should matter to us. And we must rely on God for our needs, and that includes the need of rest and self-care. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 2 and 3, God himself even rested. So Genesis chapter 2, verse 2 and 3 says, "And on the 7th day God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, set it apart, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made." So if God, in the beginning of time, felt the need that the 7th day was to be a day of rest for him, why would we not have a day of rest for ourselves? And so God led by example by taking a day of rest on the 7th day of creation. In Mark chapter 2, verse 27, we know that it says that God created the Sabbath for man. And, this video, I'm not saying that we need to be keeping the Sabbath. I believe, that the Apostle Paul says that it is a liberty issue now. We don't need to be doing the Sabbath on Saturdays or Sundays. It's a personal decision. However, we must take a day where we get rest. So God led by example of resting on the seventh day of creation. And the challenge for you today, if you get nothing out of this video, is you should look at yourself. Are you finding the time to rest? Are you one of those people that are running 7 days a week with work in and, just the busyness of everyday life? And for me, I love going up to the mountaintops, and I'm looking forward to the weather starting to get nicer. I'm looking forward to going up the mountaintops and spending time by myself, after hikes. I know that's not really resting, but I like to rest at the top, and just look out at the scenery and, enjoy the breeze when there is a breeze. I like, that's a form of rest to me. And, I also like going out to the beach where, I could just lay on the beach at the ocean and listen to the waves crash and all that. And it's very refreshing and relaxing. And not resting, it's going to affect you more than just physically. It's going to affect you emotionally and mentally. And the lack of rest physically can affect you in many different health aspects. It can affect your heart. You can have heart disease or heart issues, and hypertension, high blood pressure. A reason why many of us have high blood pressure is because we're living in everyday stress and we're not eating good. And, I'm guilty. And, another medical condition from the lack of rest can be strokes. That can all be stress reduced and all that. And then diabetes, believe it or not, it's not just you eat too much sugar, but, your body acts out when you're not taking care of yourself. And the lack of rest can and will result in depression. I don't believe that mentally that you can be on the go 24/7 all your life, not take any times of rest and be in a good mental state. And, much depression that we see today is because we are not taking any time to rest and enjoy the gift of rest. And the lack of rest will also affect your memory. And the lack of rest can also be the reason behind gaining weight. And lack of rest will make one irritable and easily upset. And I'm guilty in that matter. And so that's going to wrap up this video. Just a little short video, because my videos normally go almost a half hour these days. And Topical Saturdays, I like to do 10 minutes or less. But we'll see you next week as we're going to look back at the Song of Moses. And, we're going to see what is entailed in the song. And then we're, most likely going to be wrapping up the book of Deuteronomy. So I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. God bless, and take some time and rest.